What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC Vegas 55. We have Holly Holm going against Ketlin Vieira.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another DraftKings video this week. An 11-fight card, UFC Vegas 55. Not the best card in the world, but as always, looking forward to it. Next week we have a week off, so got to enjoy this week. And then once we do get back in 2 weeks, we will have 10 cards in a row. So lots of UFC coming our way this summer. Looking forward to that. Before we get started, guys, as always, if you guys can hit the like button, it's much appreciated. As always, subscribe to the channel. Just hit 15K subs, so thank you guys for that. Let's keep growing it. And then if you do want extra content, I do a ton of stuff at dfsbythenumbers.com. All my content for the week is already out. I was able to get kind of ahead a little bit this week. So a lot going on over there. But I say we dig right into it, and we will start, as always, with the fight doesn't go to decision lines. And there are 4 fights to end inside the distance on the entire card, and these are those 4 fights. So the first one, Almeida, Porter, minus 365, fight doesn't go to decision. And I do think this fight finishes because I am picking the Jyalton Almeida side. Almeida, he is sitting at 9,400. Parker Porter, 6,800. Almeida, 100% finish rate. All of those wins coming under 1.5 rounds. The fight that did go to decision for Almeida, he did lose that decision. So I think if Almeida does win, it is inside the distance, and it is probably in the first round as well. Porter, on the other hand, if Porter wins, I actually think it's by decision. Porter has shown little to no power in the UFC. And Almeida has lost his only decision. So I think if Porter does win, it's by decision, but Almeida gets this guy down and probably finish him in the first round. So I'm more so on the Almeida side. He is probably my favorite play on the slate, but I know a lot of people taking the shot on Parker Porter. Amedovski, Holmes, minus 240. Fight doesn't go to decision. I think this fight does finish as well. Joseph Holmes, 100% finish rate in his wins. Alan Amedovski, a 100% finish rate in his wins. Neither guy has ever won a decision. And stylistically, we have Amedovski, who hits like a truck. I don't think he's very good, but he does hit very hard. And then we have Joseph Holmes, who is a brown belt in BJJ, has some power in his own right. I think this fight does finish as well. I think this fight does finish early on, and I'll be having both sides here. I'm not a big fan of really either guy, but Joseph Holmes, 8,800. It's definitely a crazy price to pay. Because Amedovski is going to be live to finish early, but Holmes is going to have the path to victory of getting it down to the mat, and once he does, I think he subs him. So both sides here for sure. Such a low-level fight, but I think it's a low-level fight that scores very well on DraftKings and finishes probably early on. Morales and Medic, minus 200. Fight doesn't go to decision. Uros Medic, in his entire career, he's never been over 1.5 rounds. He's been to the second round once, and that fight did end like 53 seconds into the second round. So, kind of a killer-be-killed fighter here. We saw when he did battle some adversity against Jalen Turner. Did not look great. He looked kind of gassed out at the end of the first round. Looked like he kind of quit in there as well. So, Medic, we know he's going to fight. He's going to go in there, and he's going to try to get that early finish. If he does, he does. If he doesn't, I think Morales can definitely take over. Morales is a very tough fighter. He's been to the second round, to the third round, to decision before, and I do like that about him. But, Medic is one of the more intriguing dogs in the slate. You have Medic, who has a 100% finish rate, a ton of power. Morales, he's coming back up a weight class. Morales is now, 36 years old as well, so Medic is going to be younger. He's dangerous, so I'm going to have a lot of both sides, but, Medic is one of my more favorite dogs on the slate because of that first round upside there. Njokuani going against Dusko Todorovic. I'm not a big fan of Dusko in his striking defense, and Njokuani has been looking very good as of late, but, you go back and watch some of these Njokuani fights from a couple of years ago, and there are a ton of red flags. He's getting taken down, he's gassing out, he's kind of quitting in fights, but, he does look like a completely different fighter now, and, in this fight, he's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage. Dusko Todorovic has no striking defense, backs up with his chin up in the air, hands down, and Njokuani hits very, very hard. Nobody goes out there and knocks out Marc-Andre Barriault, and he did it in the first 20 seconds. So I like Chidi to knock out Dusko, but I wouldn't completely rule out Dusko in this fight. I think Dusko is going to be very low owned, and Dusko does have a path to victory in terms of getting the fight down to the mat. Dusko is a black belt in his own right, but I do think Chidi does knock him out here, and probably in the first round. Core plays, Jyalton Almeida, 9,400. I think people are just looking into this matchup too much. Almeida's going to probably take him down in the first round, and he should probably finish him in the first round as well. He is coming up a weight class. There are some concerns, especially from a money line perspective, but It's not like he's priced at like 9,600, 9,500. He's priced accordingly here. 9,400. Going to have a ton of Almeida. I think he finishes Porter in the very first round. But maybe sprinkle Porter just in case this fight does get extended, but I just don't see it. I think Almeida finishes him very early on. Tabitha Ricci, 8,300. Kind of a lower owned fight here, but I think this fight's a very good one to target. So Ricci, she's going to be the one getting takedowns. Viana, very good grappler, brown belt in BJJ, but she is content to, give up the takedowns, give up control time, lay on her back and throw up submissions, and that can work against lower level fighters like an Emily Whitmire, like a Mallory Martin. But Tabitha Ricci, black belt in BJJ, solid wrestler, BJJ, like I said, BJJ black belt, and then she's also a black belt in judo as well. I think she's going to be able to get it down to the mat. I think she's going to be on top, and I think Polyana Viana is kind of sub or bust in this spot. So I like Ricci here. Takedown upside, control time upside, and wouldn't be shocked if she submitted Polyana Viana. We saw Veronica Macedo do it in the first round, but I'm kind of leaning more towards a decision with takedowns there. So I like Ricci. She did score 99 in her last fight, and I can kind of see the same upside here with Viana having a 40% takedown defense. Chidi Njokwani, 8,700, talked about a little bit. This guy has a ton of power. Dusko has no striking defense. Put those two together, he probably knocks him out. On top of that, he's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage as well. He's going to be the bigger fighter. So yeah, I think he has upside, knockout upside as well. We're not paying a ton for him. He's only 8,700. Money's been coming in on him in terms of the money line. I think he's like minus 230, minus 240 now at this point. But yeah, that price tag on DK, stayed there at 8,700. I like it. I like it a lot. I think he knocks out Dusko. And then Holly Holm, 9,100, kind of a cash game play for me here. I don't think Holly, or this fight in general, has a ton of upside, but for cash, I think it's very safe. I think it does go 5 rounds here. If Holly does come out here and fights any way she did like Aldana in her last fight, then she can put up a big score, but I don't expect her to go out there and take down Vieira, at least early. But I do expect her to go out there and outstrike Vieira over the course of 5 rounds. I think she's a much better striker, and I think she's a much better cardio as well. So I think she's kind of safe to win here. One of the biggest favorites on the slate. She's now like minus 250, minus 260. And I just think I'm comfortable with her in my cash lineup. I think she does win. And on top of that, stacking the main event in cash, I don't think is the worst idea in the world. I think this does go 5 rounds. I think Holly Holm has volume upside on the feet, and I think Caitlin Vieira probably goes for some takedowns early on. GPP plays here, tournament plays. Joseph Holmes, 8,800. Yeah, I think the fight ends probably under 1.5 rounds, probably in the first round. I think either Joseph Holmes, I think he can knock out Amedovski, but more so getting the fight down to the mat and submitting Amedovski, or I think Amedovski knocks him out in the first couple minutes. But yeah, either way, I think this fight's a very important fight to target. I think the fight finishes, especially on an 11-fight slate. I think this fight has a really good chance of finding its way on the optimal lineup. So for that reason, I'll have some Joseph Holmes, 8,800. Not in love with the price tag, but if he wins, I do think it's an early sub. Omar Morales, 8,400. Yeah, so Morales, has a legit path to victory in terms of getting the fight down to the mat. Medic has some of the worst takedown defense I've ever seen. Little to no resistance against guys like on the Alaska fight scene. Just getting taken down at will. And Omar Morales is a BJJ black belt, but whether he chooses to use it, I don't know. I thought he would go there against Giga Chikadze, ended up getting no takedowns in that fight. But yeah, if Morales comes in here, he fights smart, gets the fight down to the mat, gets his fight extended. He's very live to, get takedowns in this fight, get a submission, and even finish, Medic as the fight goes on. We saw Medic battle some resistance in his last fight against Turner and kind of gave up in that fight, it looked like. So, I like Morales here as a tournament play, but would not go there in cash, really. I think somebody's getting finished in this fight, though. Santiago Ponzinibbio, 8,000. I know a lot of people are on the Michel Pereira side. This is a fight where, I don't know, I don't really want to target this fight too much. I don't really see it scoring well, but give me the dog here in Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio throws a ton of volume, nearly 5 significant strikes per minute. He's going to have the cardio advantage here. I like the pressure of Ponzinibbio as well. We are in the small cage. I think he's going to pressure Pereira, make him uncomfortable, and I think he's going to kind of take over as the fight goes on. But it's a very close fight. Again, 11-fight slate. I don't think you need this fight, but he is somebody that does stick out at 8K here. As far as Pereira goes, I don't know. I don't really see him getting many takedowns at 8,200. He doesn't have much finish upside at 8,200. A fight I'm not overly excited about, honestly. And same thing with the next thing, Jung Young Park, 9,000. If this was like a 12-fight slate, 13-fight slate, he probably wouldn't be on here. But since we only have 11 fights to work with, I do think we at least got to mention Jung Young Park because he is very, very high volume, landing 4.69 significant strikes per minute. On top of that, I think either guy in this fight, whether it's Andrews or Park, are live to go for takedowns here. Park does land over 3 takedowns per 15 minutes. So yeah, in a win, I think Park can score well. I don't think he's going to have like an amazing ceiling, but on 11 fight slate, could it be enough? Potentially, we'll see. But I think Park is at least needs to be mentioned here because of his high volume. Live dogs, I think there's a ton of live dogs this week. First one, Eros Medic, 7,800, 100% finish rate in his wins, has never won a fight over 1.5 rounds. It's safe to say if Medic does win, it is probably an early knockout here. And for that reason, I do have some interest on Draftkings. Alan Amedovski, 7,400, same exact thing. This guy has probably first round or bust. He has a lot of power. Joseph Holmes is not that great. I think Amedovski, coming off a 3-year layoff, could surprise some people here with that early finish. And for that reason, I think you got to have some Amedovski at 7,400. Dusko Todorovic, 7,500. This guy's a finisher as well. Chidi Njokwani's been finished actually in 6 of his 7 losses. Chidi has struggled with takedown defense in the past. He struggled with his gas tank in the past. If Dusko can get on top, I think he could have some success here. So yeah, he's going to be very low owned. The whole world is on Chidi, including me. But yeah, Dusko definitely has a path to victory here, and we have seen some things out of Chidi from the past that I did not like the takedown defense, like the gas tank. He has been knocked out a ton. He's been submitted a ton. And Dusko's a much younger fighter, so we'll see what happens. But Dusko, another underdog that I'm looking at. Can't believe I'm saying this, but Chase Super, 7,600. Yeah, the thing is, Kolaris, 86, it doesn't make sense to me. Kolaris is 8,600, and I'm just not sure what Kolaris is good at outside of grappling. But, Chase Super is probably the better grappler here. But Kolaris he's tough, and really that is about it. He has terrible striking defense, as does Hooper. He has terrible wrestling, as does Hooper. Terrible takedown defense, as does Hooper. Just these guys are, kind of similar. Both guys are not great. On top of that, Kolaris is coming up a weight class here, and Hooper's going to be like much bigger. He's going to have like a 4-inch height advantage and like a 5 or 6-inch reach advantage as well. Hooper took a year off. He's making improvements. I think Hooper's like a really live dog here. I think this fight does primarily play out on the mat, actually. And at that point, Hooper's going to have some opportunities. So as ugly as it is, I will have some Hooper. I think it's much better than playing Kolaris at 8,600. I think that's nuts. But give me Hooper at 7,600 here. And then even like some more dogs that stick out is going to be Pauliana Viana. I know I'm very high on Ricci this week, but Pauliana Viana, a 100% finish rate that can't be ignored. And if Viana wins, it is probably an armbar from guard. And then the other one that stuck out is another weird one, but Sam Hughes, 7,700. If she wins, it is probably takedowns, pressure, control time. And I don't think anybody's going to have her. But those, lots of dogs sticking out this week from a DraftKings perspective. Pump plays, Ketlin Vieira. Yeah, this is more of a cash play for me. I think it goes 5 rounds. I think she racks up strikes as the fight goes on. And I even think she's going to get this fight down to the mat, a few times. So takedown upside as well. But it seems like she has a really good floor, and it allows you to go up and get your Almeidas. It allows you to go up and get your Chidis. So I do like Ketlin Vieira as a pump play, but more so from a cash game perspective. I don't really like her to win this fight, but I like her to lose and put up a decent floor along the way. So give me Ketlin Vieira, but more so from a cash game perspective. And then fades. There's a couple. I could even add a little more. Like, I'm not going to have a ton of Felipe Colares, 8,600. But yeah, Jonathan Martinez, 8,900. No takedown upside. Don't really see much finish upside. Not a ton of like crazy volume upside. I think he goes to decision. I think he wins. I really do like him to win. But 8,900, I just cannot get there. I'd rather pay down and get a Chidi. I'd rather pay up and get an Almeida. I'd rather pay down and get a Holmes. I just think there's a lot of better options than Jonathan Martinez. And then Elise Reed, kind of the same thing. She's not going to go for takedowns. Very little finish upside. The worst inside the distance line on the entire slate as the fight as a whole for the Hughes and Reed fight. And I think she wins, but I think she wins by decision. Not going to go out there and throw a ton of crazy volume. Just a pretty easy fade for me. So fading Martinez and Reed, usually I don't put 2 up here, but this week I could even put 3 with Kalorich. I'm not too high on this week, but not going to have a ton of them. And then also did want to mention a couple other pump plays that stuck out. Eric Anders, I think, is interesting. And then another one was, like I said, Parker Porter is interesting if this fight does get extended. But guys, that is about it. Kind of a tricky slate this week. I think the optimal lineup, we saw it, I think it was last week or the week before, had a ton of salary left over. I kind of feel the same way here. It's kind of a weird slate, but should be fun as always. Leave a like on your way out, guys. Subscribe, all the good stuff. Check out dfsbythenumbers.com. Lots of stuff going on over there. And yeah, we'll talk to you very soon. Week off next week, and we'll be back and looking forward to 10 straight weeks. There we go, of UFC. Best of luck, guys, and let's keep making some money.